welcome to HealthLink. Today we are talking about walking poles and polling for your health, and I have with me Ann Thomas, who's been describing how to walk with poles. We're going to learn more about technique and also to see some clips of people actually using the poles. Ann, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
My pleasure. We've been talking about some of the health benefits. I guess I'd like to know who really should or could use these poles. Is there a target group that you look for polling for health?
I don't know that there is. These particular poles will fit heights from 4'2" to 6'4".
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's
They're that
quite
adjustable.
The range. Yep.
And so it could, anybody who's really short, could be a child, young adult.
Yeah.
It could be an elderly person who's shrunk a bit, as some do.
Sign me up there.
I have one gentleman I know who's a hunter, and he thought that would be great in the woods, and he's a 6'4" guy, and he was very keen.
And
he hasn't got them yet, but he was thinking about it, talking to his buddies. So who's to say?
Okay.
Maybe hard to carry all the equipment and pull at the same time. But in terms of who, it could be anybody who's interested. The adjustability is great, but what the poles primarily offer is low impact activity. It's not as high impact as running because you're not getting that stomp when you run. But for people who don't want to have that level of impact, who might want to but are injured, so people with plantar fasciitis or other running type injuries, this is more strenuous workout than straight walking. So a lot of runners are very anxious to get back to their previous level of ability and may return too soon to running. But this might be a better bridge and offer an exercise program that will bridge the gap a little bit better. But anybody who wants low impact, one of my colleagues who is pregnant wanted to have a more strenuous workout because she normally runs but couldn't with a baby on the way. She loved her poles and she bought a pair and really found it was really helpful.
Very good.
And you can use them anywhere. You can go out your front door and it can be on rough ground, it could be on sidewalk, it can be on grass, anywhere you happen to be. And you know, you're not restricted to any particular space.
Which is excellent, actually. Excellent.
This particular brand is called Urban Poles, and they were designed for people in cities.
Do you mind if I hold one?
Not at all.
It's very light.
It's very light. It's made of aircraft aluminum alloy, aircraft grade. This particular style, you can see Urban Pole 300. This was their original pole. And there have been some adaptations for various reasons in other poles I can show you. It's what's called a telescopic adjustment, and it has, I don't know if you can see on the screen, it will have a lock and an unlock direction. So it's very easy, very user-friendly. There are a lot of European poles will have the height in centimeters. And for those of us who aren't as proficient in the metric system, these also have feet and inches. Now, they don't compare to actual feet and inches. As you can see, they're spaced quite closely together. But the idea is that if you are a certain height, that you can use the corresponding numbers on the pole to help determine which height is best for you. And the recommendation is to go a little shorter than your actual height. The rule of thumb is about 2 inches shorter. Now, I'm 5'3" exactly. I prefer going to the 5 foot length. That's what I feel most comfortable. So these are done, these are measured in even numbered increments. So as a 5'3" individual, I go to the 5 foot mark, and then you just twist the pole until it's nice and snug, really snug it up, and you can put lots of pressure on here. It will not accordion or telescope. There are a number of pole designs, but they all have the same grip features. And this is especially designed to allow a loose grip. So I don't know if your camera can see very easily, but there is a right and a left.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And you'll see when you
What
turn
do
your
I
pole,
have?
you've got the left.
Oh, good.
And for those who, because
you
it's
know that?
R
It
and
probably
L,
says
it
left.
says R and L. But if you're not an English
Don't make it
speaker,
simple.
there's also a hand.
Oh, for heaven's
And it'll
sakes.
show the thumb going inwards for the right and for the left.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And the other clue is that there's a ledge that goes on the outside of your palm. So when you're holding it, your baby finger is going to rest on that ledge.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it's got a nice grip at the top.
Yeah.
In therapy circles, everyone will know that a 2-inch wide grip is an ideal grip, fits the human hand well. So there's a rounded part that fits into the palm.
Yeah.
And a lot of poles have grooves here for fingers. These don't have that because the goal is not to grip really hard.
Yeah.
The idea is to have a relaxed grip. You're using the outer edge of your hand so that you're not really pulling hard.
Yeah.
And on the inner side of the grip, you'll see a space here, a curved space. So there is some flexibility in the pole as well.
Yeah, it gives a bit.
Yeah, it does give a bit.
Excellent.
Yeah. So you'll notice that there's no strap. Many poles have straps. There was a deliberate decision not to use a strap with these poles, and part of that is because of injuries that strap that can't be released easily. You can have thumb injuries by falling onto the grip.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a decision for safety.
That was a decision, yeah.
Yep.
So that's the upper end that's important.
Yeah.
Here near the upper end you'll see a little clip that allows the poles to clip together. It's easy for travel and for having them not fall against each other when they're in storage. The other end of the pole
now this is really
is
interesting.
a little hiking boot.
Yeah. That's excellent.
Some others have hiking boots also that don't have the tread on them quite the same way. So there's quite a deep hiking boot tread on the underneath, and there are little grooves here that do allow some flexibility for pushing off.
Yep.
The hiking boot is removable, and underneath there, is what's called a carbide tip. It's not pointy. It has a little hollow on it.
Right.
And the idea of that is to really get good push off when you're on a terrain that isn't a rigid surface.
Okay.
So this allows cushioning and better push off when you're on sidewalk, asphalt, really hard packed soil, that kind of thing. Otherwise, there's a shutter that goes through the carbide tip that's felt all the way up the pole. Okay. So when the boot is in place, that cushioning effect is a lot more comfortable for your arm and hand. The other thing
about a shock absorber.
It is. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just as when we walk, we put our heel on the ground first. Yes. So it's a heel-toe action. The boot has a heel-toe action also. So when you're setting up the pole, you always want to make sure that the grip and the boot are lined up so that the toe of the boot faces behind you.
And I must confess that when I first saw someone using these poles, I honestly thought they were doing it backwards. So I have learned, and I thought, no, they couldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's on a bit of a slant, so that you're really pushing off nicely.
Excellent.
Now, if you are going down a steep hill, you can reverse them. So that the heel, it's again the same idea, the heel should hit the ground first.
Gotcha.
So on a level ground, it's going to do that more when the toes face rear, otherwise they could face forward.
Because it definitely looks different than a cane or a crutch tip or any of those.
Yeah.
So
these, yes. The activator has the other style.
Okay.
So